Hello everybody, welcome to another edition of Last Minute Kick Out with myself, Kevin, and of course my delightful Scottish friend, Mr. Turbo.
Hello there.
Yes, Mr. Turbo, who's lost some weight. He's lost some weight. I can't think what that weight could be. I don't know. I've gained the same amount of weight. It's terrible, absolutely terrible. Oh, what a shame! And he was such a fighting champion, ladies and gents. 3 weeks in a row.
You know, it's unfair that I had to go through 3 pay-per-views in a row.
Hey, you defended the belt.
And now you have it, and then I can't get a hold of it.
You defended the belt more in 3 weeks than Pete did in about a year. So, or it felt like that. So you're good. You're good.
I still call a bit
shenanigans.
Iffy on it.
We've got another pay-per-view probably in a couple of weeks or something stupid, isn't it? So it's...
I know it's a WWE one.
WWE one. The next AEW one's Full Gear, I think, in November time.
Aye, so it's a while back.
Good. They need a break to get their house in order. Which we'll be talking about, along with, of course, everything that happened with AEW All Out. Remind me, is this their WrestleMania?
It's supposed to be. Because this was like the All Out. The first All Out was their official standing ground.
Yeah. Well, apparently it was their WrestleMania 2. Apparently, we'll get into it, guys. But needless to say, neither of us are particularly happy. And one of the reasons why this is a little bit later than it has been for a couple of the other shows recently, I specifically wanted to watch the Dynamite after. If we'd have gone into this just with what it was, I think that it would just be probably 60 minutes of just shouting.
Yeah, it would have been a lot of heated kind of like questioning as to why.
Yes, why. And the main thing that needed to be found out was whether Matt Hardy was okay before we actually did this show. And thank goodness he is. Although he's probably getting a right old slap at home. But
no, it would have been the drive back home because
yeah,
because Rebby was
he
there.
brought up
Rebby.
Rebby. He brought up Rebby on the show, and the camera cut to Rebby, and Rebby was like, "You fucking didn't." It's like, you want to bring this up to make it seem like I'm okay, and she very much, her eyes were very clearly, I am not okay. I know as she said on Twitter, she drove like 400 miles to give them a piece of her mind. Okay,
that's Rebby Hardy. That's Rebby Hardy.
They wanted the Elite have broken up. They just scattered in different directions. It's like shit.
Just stay away from her.
Rebby Hardy's coming, and she's coming to defend her man.
Hell have no fury like a Rebby pissed off.
And it's quite funny because the IWC have long referred to Rebby as the ride or die type of wife.
Oh, she
and she retweeted one of the comments about it, so she's into that description. Which, and obviously, fuck the owl. But which is still one of the funniest things that's happened in wrestling. Just fuck that owl. So there was a buy-in, and I've got to admit I forgot about it.
Same here. Granted, we didn't forget about it too much because originally the buy-in had one of the kind of like marquee matches that a lot of people thought was going to be on the marquee.
Indeed.
At first it wasn't, and then it did. Being that of the Britt Baker, what was it, Nyla Rose?
No, not Nyla Rose. She's
no?
Swole, Big Swole. Not
Big Swole. Sorry. Yeah, it was that match was originally on the buy-in pre-show, but then a lot of people were like, "Robber, why is this on the pre-show? Robber, we want on the main card, Robber," and yeah, people.
And
got
boy, were they
their
wrong. If you were one of those people that wanted this on that match on the main card, and we'll get to that shortly, dear God, were you mistaken?
Yeah.
All right. So instead, we had, first of all, Joey Janela in a I Need a Win Back match. Joey Janela with Sunny Kiss defeated Serpentico, who was with Luther. I mean, it's Serpentico. It's a blimmin' joke character that can sometimes be Sammy Guevara. Fine. Joey gets a match. Sonny gets to appear. Luther gets to appear. I feel kind of sorry for Luther because I'm actually one of those people that think that Luther could actually do something if utilized correctly.
Well, yeah, you could probably say he's like the same as Orange Cassidy, but he just lacks the charisma.
Oh God, yeah. But the thing, his main thing, which is this unhinged lunatic, based on if he did these Japanese, he can't do his Japanese stuff because of COVID. There's no crowd. He can't get close to anybody. He can't get up in people's faces and and scare the bejesus out of them. He's not able to.
No.
So he's basically just there to get a paycheck at the minute. He's the Horace Hogan of AEW.
Just not as Hoss.
No. Yeah, that went 8 minutes, that match, apparently. But Joey Janela won, and he gets another win back because he's had a couple of hard losses recently on.
Yeah. He goes up and down the card so much.
He really does go up and down the card, and we know Janela's had some issues. But I'm kind of disappointed actually with Joey Janela because I mean we had the. I still wish we'd have been able to have that little triple threat group of Janela and Darby and hardcore guy. I forgot his name. One who's been wished future endeavours because he had problems too.
Oh, Havoc.
Jimmy Havoc. Yeah, I still kind of wish we'd have had them as like just this like every so often triple threat.
The ragtag, chaos group.
Yeah, because it just worked so well.
Yeah.
And since then, he's since he had his match with Moxley, he's not really performed anywhere near as well. It's a great shame. Anyway, what we got on the cards, or on the buy-in card, instead of the Britt Baker match, was then a Private Party versus the Dark Order, specifically Reynolds and Silver. That lasted 10 minutes and began the Dark Order's very bad evening.
Mm-hmm.
Private Party get a win, which is good, because we're still building up their little story of, early Hardy Boys, basically.
Aye. Yeah.
Early Hardy Boys with Matt taking the role as the mentor, who won't go away.
Which is a shame, because originally it was kind of like the AEW equivalent of Street Profits, essentially. Or trying to do that. But even then, Street Profits have completely deviated to what they were in NXT, like, so. But hey.
That's fine. Things that deviate to what they were in NXT tend to become better, so it's... I wonder why. I can't for the life of me think why. Anyway, 10 minutes and yeah, they won. Private Party won. Fine. We're still building Private Party up. Dark Order get to disappoint Mr. Brody Lee.
I'm sure Private Party will get another shot at the tag team titles eventually, soon enough.
Yeah. They're slowly building up their sort of rank, and now that we've got sort of dissolved a couple of things, we've got there's a bit more of a chance for them to start getting on the rankings a bit, I think. To quote one person, this is not convincing anybody that this was on the fence to get this pay-per-view. This was a glorified episode of Dark. I'd say that was on paper better than an episode of Dark, but there we go. Hey. So, on to the main event, starting with the tooth and nail match between Big Swole and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, with Reba, who I honestly didn't understand who she was. I've kind of glossed over this feud entirely because it was boring me to tears before this thing.
Last I checked, she was just like basically the handler of Britt Baker, you know, taking care of her needs.
She's the Virgil of Britt Baker, which is interesting.
For the moment in time, because she
didn't need to be there.
Well, I mean, she was still like Britt Baker herself wasn't, you know, 100% for the whole thing. So
oh god, yeah, we're still trying to get Britt back into the swing of things. So, the tooth and nail match, which made no sense. With a title like that, it's a cinematic, but you kind of expect there to be some sort of extraction involved. But actually, it was just a poorly executed, poorly shot, poorly conceived, poorly produced, poorly performed cinematic match in a quote-unquote doctor's office. Dental office, dental practice, and basically,
if Isaac Yankem was still a thing in WWE, do you think they would ever do anything like this for him, for his character?
If Isaac Yankem was dead, he'd be rolling in his grave.
Luckily, he's actually become a mayor, so he's still alive.
Mayor Isaac Yankem. Oh well, he's rolling somewhere. Rolling somewhere, doing what? I don't know. It might well be. But okay, so this was bad.
No, I don't disagree. It was a very poor, kind of like poor match. It's like you start off the show with this type of match, like a pre-recorded cinematic match, and it's just not interesting. It's not good. I wasn't enthralled by
nothing went on. It didn't do anyone any favors.
Yeah.
It did nothing. So Reba did nothing for her in terms of character. It made Britt look weak as all heck. Damaged her gimmick. And made it look like she couldn't wrestle. Which Swole
probably was the case.
Yeah, Big Swole got to look like an idiot on a couple of occasions by being outsmarted in really stupid ways. As same with Britt with the blimmin'. Oh yes, she stabbed herself with the anesthetic. Oh no! Sure, whatever. But it didn't make... Big Swole should have come out of this match looking like a beast, and instead she came across as somebody who's been involved in a piece of crap.
She's part of something very clumsy. That's what it was.
It was very bad. To give you an idea, because obviously I've got a cage match up, so we can actually just discuss it. The match guide rating based on 110 votes is 2. That's
how bad it is.
2 out of 10. 110 votes and the average is 2. This should give you an idea of how... If you have not seen this match, do not watch this match. It'll just bring down your opinion of every single person involved. It's that bad.
I don't know. I think the rest of the card will... not make you want to watch the entire bloody show at this point.
It recovered. It did recover, but there was issues throughout. Okay. Next up, a much better match. We had a tag team match, a straight tag team match, no gimmicks, no anything like this. Between the Young Bucks and the Jurassic Express, or the Lucha Express with Jurassic Saurus, if you're JR. So we've got the Young Bucks. We have this ongoing thing with the Young Bucks, and we've had Kenny Omega be very angry towards Jurassic Express and not be particularly happy with Jungle Boy, and in particular Marco Stunt, because Marco Stunt's an annoying bastard. So Marco Stunt, literally a one-legged man, coming out with his crutch because he's hurt himself again.
Right.
Multiple times decides to get involved with no provocation. It's like, you're just fucking asking for it, dude. It's just like, whatever. Young Bucks going more and more heel, as we've seen throughout. Jungle Boy, for some reason, is still kicking out of every finisher known to man, because, as we said before, he's the Xavier Woods of the group, and he's just immortal, and you can't put him down, you can't keep him down. He'll take as much punishment as possible, and we get it. Trying to put him over as tough, but you're doing it in completely the wrong way, because you're sacrificing everybody's finishers for it. I thought this match was it's 50 minutes. It was good for what it was. It was light years ahead of the previous one. It wasn't the best Young Bucks performance.
No,
it wasn't the best Jurassic Express performance. But in terms of the long-term story that was being told, it was a decent enough step forward.
Yeah, because you need to have, again, talking about like the tag team division and whatnot. It's like you got Private Party that could be someone that can go for the tag titles, and now. And of course, some of the kind of like, more higher tier kind of like tag teams with the Bucks and Jurassic Express to bout and see if who can be next in contention line for the titles. It's it's a work in progress. It's definitely a work in progress, because. Obviously the landscape needs to change going forward, because as you said, this is kind of like AEW's WrestleMania, and usually WrestleMania is like the benchmark of pushing forward to what goes what's next, the next chapter in the company, in terms of who's going to be champions, leaving it, and what matches we can see. So
yeah, there was some good moves. Each of the teams were clearly trying to prove a point. with what was going on, and you had the ongoing sort of antagonism on the outside with the Bucks not happy with a lot of stuff that was going on. Luchasaurus didn't seem as impressive as normal. I don't know why. He seemed to be lacking a step somewhere.
Yeah. Kind of mind. I don't know if he's been having any issues as of late. I mean, what was a while back? He already had an injury. And whatnot,
we did the
the
Achilles stuff, didn't he? I think it was.
Yeah, he already recovered from that.
Yeah,
supposedly.
but it just seemed a bit. It just seemed a bit.
I didn't notice that that Luchasaurus was off his game. Tonight, that night. So,
you know, I think that the Bucks can go without the crowd. I don't think the Jurassic Express do as well without this crowd. I mean, I would say there is a crowd. I know, but I think they work better when they've got a real crowd to play against.
You could say that for pretty much anyone, really.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's like, but it's just more notable with them here because they are a crowd that, or they are a team that requires like, like crowd interaction more so than any other kind of like performer.
Yeah.
So
you just need to sort of keep things bubbling along. But yeah, they eventually put Jurassic Express down. There's some more heel shenanigans on the outside. And with a chip on their shoulder, they go off into the sunset for the time being. Or they go off into the sunset as in behind the curtain and wait. Because they're needed later. And we'll get into that. This leads us on to... Sorry, yep.
No, I was going to say, well, it only makes sense because there are vice presidents in the company.
Yeah, that's the thing. They can't... This is one... Yeah, this is, again, a thing I was going to bring up later with the Omega thing. It's like, get in the car, we got to go. I was like, think about it, get in the car with me. And it's like, no, we kind of run this thing now. We can't just do that. Whatever. On to the 21-man casino battle royale. And possibly the worst casino battle royale we've had so far.
Yeah, it wasn't clean.
It was a lot. Well, even outside of
botches,
feeling very sad for Matt Sydal, who pits
Former
picture
M1.
perfect SSPs 999 times out of 1,000, and he just happened to slip on the rope and botch his mega botch his grand opening, his grand introduction. And nearly brained himself as well in the process. Yeah,
well, luckily he just landed on his back, essentially. Could have been much, much worse. But no, it's like it was very the match the match as a whole, obviously the format, I think. Do you think that the format's waning?
I don't like the format, and I never have.
Fair
I
enough.
like the idea of, look, there's a whole bunch of people from the get-go, and it's a little bit
like
more
groups,
and there's a little bit more groups. I'm kind of like, you must know who's coming out if you're in those groups. So I'm surprised when there's, people from rival groups coming out at the same time that, we don't cut to the back and see that they're already trying to beat the crap out of each other. So I'm a little bit surprised about that. There's, I don't know. It's missing. The Joker thing is, all well and good, but we know it's always somebody debuting.
Yeah.
At this point, if you always have it be somebody debuting, then it loses its thing. The Rumble, we know there's going to be surprises, but we don't know when the surprises are coming.
Yeah, and with the 30 entrant, it's usually either up for grabs in a match beforehand, or it is like a surprise entrance.
The 38 could be a surprise, but we don't. But you know, and sometimes we know that, sometimes we don't.
Mm-hmm.
But there's usually stuff sprinkled through.
Yeah.
This is with the Joker. It's just telegraphed that this is going to be somebody outside the what have you, and there's nothing to stop them making it being a returning person and giving them, you know, a little bit of a rub and what have you. But no. Anyway, so we had Lance Archer, who won it in the end with Jake Roberts. Lance Archer looked like a beast. And came over very well. But there was quite a lot of very similar people. Quite a lot of very similar wrestlers in this, I thought.
Yeah. I mean, you had Darby Allin, who was obviously... he's obviously
Darby
a
Allin,
stickler for this match type and whatnot. He's been in a lot of them. And of course, he was bringing his own flair of, you know, kind of like, you know, extreme kind of like... match types and whatnot with the thumbtacks and all that.
Absolutely. So I'm sort of looking at this, all right, about the people who are in it. So apart from Chris Daniels, Chuck Taylor, Matt Sydal, Ray Fenix, Ricky Starks, Sean Spears, and
was Pentagon there?
Pentagon's there, but Pentagon's a big boy. Or Penta L0M, as he's gone back to that because AAA. Just call him Penta. It's a lot easier. So they were quite. They're the symbol, but everyone else was like this big, muscular, you know, beast.
Yeah.
So many people look the same. In terms of their build, and you know, it's like, how many powerhouses do you need in this match? And then you have to ask yourselves, well, we have to look at them. This is the bulk of the roster. Well, the bulk of the roster is kind of similar then. So yes, Matt Sydal botched his intro, which is a great shame. Darby Allin got put in a body bag with thumbtacks in it and then chucked over the top rope very carelessly. And for some reason, this occurred. I know we're doing this thing with him and Starks and Cage too, as part of Taz's. I don't know. When I think of managers that have, you know, a long-going beef with somebody in particular, I think of Heyman and Taker. And that long story of Heyman actually kind of being determined to take down Taker without it necessarily being said. But it's like, hey, seems like the guy that still just keeps trying to, you know, destroy Taker has actually got Heyman behind him all the time. Taz trying to take down Darby Allin somehow is a weird one. And I know that it's all going through that, but
which is weird because
it's Taz's instruction.
Yeah. Because it's weird because Darby Allin was, you know, having a program with, what was it, Jericho at one point, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, just going.
I will say he's their Jeff Hardy. No question.
I agree with that.
Did you hear, even with the crowd as it was, did you hear the pop when his music hit? Oh my goodness. If the boy doesn't kill himself...
what was it? In a little kind of like local shop near me and whatnot, one of the women staff there, she recognizes me because of the wrestling stuff that I wear.
Yeah.
And she tells me about her girlfriend, soon-to-be wife, saying that she's a big wrestling fan, and she doesn't watch much of the WWE product, but she watches a lot of the AEW product, and her favorite wrestler is that of Darby Allin. Yeah. And I can understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
In terms of how how Darby's presented, Darby has a very specific character. It's fine. The people who have got over well have had very specific characters, aka Darby and Orange.
Mm-hmm.
And they play to
characters that we don't see in the public eye or like mainstream media of this degree in this kind of like field. Because not since the 2000s essentially, you know.
Yeah.
It's like
so you've got Darby who is monochrome Jeff Hardy. He's an artist. He's everything basically. He's somebody who's like kind of against the world and whatever, but isn't. And he does extreme sports, and he lives his life in black and white and grey.
He's part of counterculture.
Yeah,
which was the thing of ECW back in the day. Yeah. But it's not to the same extreme degree as Generation X kind of like counterculture. Yeah. But it's still different enough to kind of like
he stands out.
Yeah,
amongst everybody. You could put everybody lined up in AEW, and Darby would be the one who immediately stands out to you, just because. Orange is the same way because he's counterculture, but he's counter wrestling culture in that his character is, and we know he's actually an amazing wrestler and can do all this stuff,
which we'll point out when we get to his match.
And he's counterculture to wrestling traditional, and even wrestling modern, in that he's anti-work rate technically because he's not. It looks like he's putting in no effort, whereas normally the people who get over people who put in the most effort.
Yeah.
So he's taking the whole idea of a lazy wrestler and making that a gimmick.
Yeah,
and that's gone over because there's something to be said about somebody who is very charismatic by being silent. A lot of the time, that's just anyway. So the finish happened, and oh boy, was it screwy. It came down to Lance Archer and Eddie Kingston. Good to see Eddie Kingston, by the way, and he's been doing some good stuff on the mic. It's Eddie Kingston. He'll do whatever. He's another one of those Shikara graduates, you know, that was there for ages, and his brief-ish tenure on Impact was very good, and they completely botched that.
Oh, they have a problem with botching a lot of people's momentum when working their way up from the smaller independents to.
That's it. That entire gimmick stable with the weird, you know, the masks and stuff. It was Actually, it's funny that it's just reminded me of Retribution. that actually kind of similar.
Not bad.
But so he was eventually. Eddie was up on the corner, and Jake had a bag, which it's got a snake in it. It didn't. It had some bloody industrial pipe in it, probably. Sort of stuff that you use on like a U-bend or something. That's what I think in that thing. I don't think he's allowed to even keep snakes anymore. Isn't the point? But out of nowhere, Excalibur. I'll tell you what, I felt for Excalibur sometimes in this thing because the commentary was crap throughout. It really was.
Yeah, he needs to make. Excalibur is the only person who's trying to make.
Excalibur's really trying.
Well, he needs to try to engage the audience in some way, shape, or form by saying like he's, you know, because that was the same with back with Mauro on commentary for SmackDown at one point where he needed to be there to bring energy and whatnot during the commentary and whatnot.
Jim Ross sounds like he's sitting on like a garden swing on a porch while he's actually just watching this and just talking to Shivani.
Yeah.
Shivani's like you got again scales. You've got Excalibur who's trying to use all energy, and you've got Jim Ross who's the other side. And then you've got Shivani who's sort of like there-ish, and then you've got Taz who's actually covers the full spectrum quite nicely. Actually, I feel. But yeah, the commentary is bad for it. Excalibur points out, like midway through this thing, that Jake's got that bag, and we know that Eddie Kingston's afraid of snakes. Do we? I mean, fair play if he is.
I was gonna say it could be just a overall natural kind of like thing that he just doesn't like, spiders, or like just a rational fear of something that he's not familiar with, and spiders are not a very familiar kind of like thing, So maybe, but I didn't hear any word of it being
This is just weird. Suddenly he's like, suddenly he's like, he's got a snake phobia, by the way. Has he? That's a very weird piece of information to tell us. Well, it's just as well that very weird piece of information was absolutely crucial to understand the finish, because he was up on the top turnbuckle. He was grappling with Lance Archer, and then Jake the Snake came down to the corner and started thrusting the bag up at Eddie Kingston. And for a minute and a half, Eddie Kingston didn't realise. This is just Jake Roberts just
Eddie.
going, whoa, with this bag.
Eddie.
It's like, and Eddie's just not noticing the bag. And I'm just looking at this going, this is the finish, isn't it? He needs to be scared by the snake, and he's somehow not noticing Jake the Snake with his bag below him. So eventually...
Hey, Eddie, look! That's ridiculous.
So eventually, he's scared, and he goes out. And as he did point out later on Dynamite, he actually wasn't eliminated. Because he didn't go over the top rope. He was sitting on it, but he actually hadn't come back into the ring. He'd gone through the second rope, gone back onto the apron, and then sort of climbed up to the top turnbuckle, but he wasn't actually eliminated. It's one of those ones that's borderline, but it's like,
I don't know. It's like
he hadn't gone into the ring, so.
I don't know. It's like, it's happened in Rumbles before, where a person has gone through the middle rope or whatever, gone up to the top rope, and then because they're actually on the top rope and they're still technically back in the ring and whatnot, that's counting them as being over the
but he wasn't facing interior. He was still, he was sitting exterior to the ring.
I can understand how people can conceive that he was wrong, then he needed to be in the ring back first after he was thrown through the ropes and whatnot to be eliminated and whatnot.
Yeah.
But again, it's just the slight, it's just one of the many blemishes of this show.
There was all sorts of it was really clunky in the ring. At one point, Penta was actually having a conversation with somebody, like, no, you need to do this. He was desperately trying to get somebody to do something, and they weren't doing it. And in the end, he just like, sod it and punched them. There was
that's the way of getting attention.
I did like the continued storyline, which I brought up previously with Shawn Spears, because my pick for this was Shawn Spears, because on the Dynamite previously, when they had the massively over the top. Everybody's fighting everybody. He stayed out of it because he's bloody smart. Tully's like, no, don't get involved. He's like, yeah, that's a good point. I should just let these people beat the crap out of each other and be fresh. And then he came out when his suit was called, and he went and talked to the commentators for a bit and pulled off the same joke twice, and it didn't work. But then he made the mistake of, like, after a while deciding, actually, yeah, no, I will go in. Why? What? Just wait until somebody like Darby comes out and then goes straight for you and beats and bits Cappy and throws you in the ring, and then you've got another feud at some point in time. There are people who are anti the Tully group. That would have made sense for them to sort of come in. I don't know it was a bizarre mix. Archer wins. Archer did look good throughout. And Moxley's since gone on record to say, that's going to be interesting. Which is good and exactly what you should do. You should, he puts the guy over on beforehand, makes him look better, makes the opponent look better. It's all good. Remember how this used to work in wrestling, and it's now treated as something we have to remind people of. Right. The next match has 122 votes and a match guide rating of 0.6. 0.61 to be precise. Can you guess which match it was?
Gee, is it involving two gentlemen that almost, one of them being almost killed on live television?
Yeah. As soon as I heard about this, it was like my plans. I was going to try and watch it live, All Out, and then things got in the way, and it wasn't a good evening. So I didn't. But then I heard about Matt, and then I was kind of up for the rest of the night, just trying to find out what was happening with Matt. So the Broken Rules match, which somehow lasted 6 minutes 5 seconds.
Whether or not that is taken into consideration how they stopped it,
right,
and then let it carry on.
Yeah. So there's a multitude of things to unpack. The first thing is that, you know what we've said previously about AEW, and that they've got all this goodwill and what have you, and it's very clear they care about stuff. Guess what? You blew absolutely every last nanogram of that goodwill in that match.
Yeah. You
I know we've kind of put AEW up on a bit of a pedestal here in terms of of welfare, in terms of everything, in terms of they won't do stuff that WWE would do, and you did the most WWE thing I think possible.
No,
and that's not even being fair. That's old WWE. WWE now do stop, and stop means stop.
Yeah.
So, match started off fine. We had a call back to the golf cart.
Yep.
Which Sammy looked the goofiest shit in the world on it with his anti-Matt Hardy symbol on the front, like a bloody cartoon. Matt looks worried for a minute and then just sidesteps the bloody thing, which immediately launches us to a sort of kind of a clumsy series of punches and what have you as we get over to this scissor lift, which then goes up via means of, I don't know, I'm not even sure. I mean, it's fine. Matt Hardy is magic, as we know, but it just somehow they operated the thing whilst having this fight.
Yeah.
Matt teases a side effect off the top of this thing. Now it's extended into the tables, which actually would have been really good. And yeah. Then it was countered, and then there was a spear off the side, and they went too far, and Matt, obviously, as we know, landed on the concrete with his shoulders and the back of his head from a very high height at force, with Sammy landing on top of him.
Yeah.
So, supposedly, this was all planned out and tested, and it was planned with a stunt guy, depending upon who you talk to. And everything had been okay. I think for those of us with eyeballs, we'd have been able to tell you that those tables are far too close if you're going to spear somebody off the thing. In fact,
especially if you gotta be doing it with enough force.
Yeah, if you're actually going to be, boom.
If this was like. What was it? I'm trying to compare it to another kind of like table spot where they kind of like just like literally fall into a situation and whatnot. I'm trying. They're like WWE's done it multiple times before and multiple times. And it's just a simple case of just going that.
We've seen
Sammy was going like this, like full on tackle.
Yeah. I mean, he probably he didn't exactly get much for a run up, but he hit him with force.
Yeah,
and it was enough force to take them past the barrier of the table. There was nothing to stop them
I don't
adding
know
another
I
set
don't
of
know
tables
Matt,
either, by the way.
I don't know if Matt jumped.
I think Matt
jumped backwards.
I think Matt did get off his feet a little bit and push off a little bit to try and make it look better.
Yeah,
and it's the result of both of them.
Yeah, all that momentum.
With the adrenaline going. Mm-hmm. I think that's the thing that wasn't factored in. It was the adrenaline of the match situation. In that, yes, testing it would look good because you know everything's in the proper environment. In the heat of battle, when it's all going on and the adrenaline started pumping, you get that extra half meter. Mm-hmm. But the fact that there was no sort of planning around that. Number one, there was no planning. There's no backup plans. Okay, so if you were a booker and you've got something which has got like a very strict stipulation, which this one did, which is if Matt Hardy loses, Matt Hardy is done. It's end of career match effectively.
Yeah.
At least for AEW, and it was like I think they pretty much covered all the bases as well. It wasn't like, oh, you can come back as a different Matt Hardy. No, it's Matt Hardy is done. So,
and I'm granted because in my original predictions I actually had Sammy to have the win here, and I was thinking on that. Oh yeah, Matt's had a long career. He should probably think about retirement and whatnot, and he's got another child, so. Yeah, maybe he might want to just step away for a bit.
They might do a macho. They might have done a macho man with him and then moved him to the booth, and then they do a whole thing with that, with Sammy taunting him, and he then brings him back and
or something
whatever.
Like that. Yeah,
but they sort of they didn't have any kind of plan in the event that something went wrong. You should have a plan B, especially when there's like a very very strict stipulation. I was like, okay, so something goes wrong, somebody's hurt. How do we get out of this in terms of the gimmick? It doesn't matter. I mean, you can talk and book your way out of most anything, but it's probably good to have like in the case of emergency, break glass. Here's what's to do. So Matt was out.
Yeah.
Again, as Remy said, anybody with eyeballs could tell this guy was out. At which point. Aubrey comes in, she checks, you could tell that she's really worried, because it's written all over her face, throws necks, which I think Sammy kind of ignored.
Yep. He didn't know. Until Aubrey eventually just went like that, right in front of
in his fucking face. At which point, there's... this is where it all goes wrong. So, Aubrey's saying to stop the match. Matt's kind of getting his bearings. Matt's coming back to the land of the living. And thankfully he's staying here. Sammy's still trying to keep the thing going. And again, it's the pro wrestler thing of, you try and cover. What you don't do is if the guy's trying to get to his feet, fine. If he's hit his head... and show. What you don't do is grab the person by the head and then try and drag them up. Matt's a professional wrestler, and Matt's going to try and get, and is old school. He'll go for it and continue going on. Sammy's doing the show must go on too, but isn't really thinking about that. As soon as that X fruit was thrown up, it should have stopped.
Yeah, full stop.
It was cleared from absolute immediacy that. And Sammy would know this because of where he landed, that Matt would be hurt. Matt is hurt. All Sammy needed to do at that point, because Sammy's had a massive fall too, is stay down. Stay down. Let Aubrey check everything's okay. If she gives the little signal to say, yeah, everything's fine, continue, then you can continue. If not, stay down. We can have a no contest. There's nothing to stop this match being a no contest. And then going back
even though
to
it's it's a no disqualification kind of like thing. No, if there's something wrong, you can make it a no contest and whatnot. I mean, the only reason why it would be a bullshit finish of a no contest and whatnot is if the stipulation was or if the outcome was staged. Or, that
absolutely.
was not. You know,
But
it's like
as
for
an
example,
audience,
Hell in a Cell between Rollins and
we know that.
So
as an audience, we are smart enough to know when somebody is hurt, and this isn't a case of like the first Hell in a Cell, well, not the first Hell in a Cell, but the Taker Mankind Hell in a Cell, where Mankind did the spot and what have you, and people were like, oh, there's the one thing about the match I hate the most is the one guy yelling, "Go finish the match, man!" at Mick Foley as he's being, tended to
carted off,
by people, and just like, you asshole, you can. There's no way it's, we've never seen anything like that before. He's clearly hurt. He's clearly not there. Asshole. This was a situation that was complete opposite. Everybody knew he was hurt. Except Sammy, apparently, and various people in the back. Everyone knew he was hurt. If the match had been stopped and made no consequence, we'd have been happy with that, because that as soon as that move landed and they landed, it was a case of, okay, first thing, most important, Matt Hardy needs to be okay. Never mind anything else. Call it no contest. It was hard. It was short, sharp, and fast. You can revisit it later.
Yeah.
And it all boils up to what actually something JR was saying, was just like, hey, this is getting more and more extreme and more and more dangerous. The bad blood is escalating to such a degree where we kind of saw this was going something like this could happen, and that they actually do hurt each other. So, ludicrously, this continues. Matt's got to his feet. Matt gets to his feet somehow. Fuck knows how. Matt Hardy gets to... Aubrey is just like... It doesn't know what to do. And I reckon in her ear is a whole load of panic in the back. X is thrown again because Matt is able to get a bit far and then Matt just can't keep on his feet.
No.
At that moment in time, if you're Sammy and you're a vet, you're pretending you've got a knee injury.
Or something.
You're pretending you're hurt and you can't stand up, so this can go to a no contest. Trying to continue it when you know that this is the thing, just let it die. Just let the match die at that point.
And of course that was telltale signs of someone who has had a concussion.
Yeah,
of some kind. Or even like
we've seen Matt Hardy with a concussion. We've seen him out of it. We know what it looks like. The first match when he came back against Edge, when he basically dropped straight on headfirst onto the top of the ring post. Do you remember that? And how that ended with Edge winning, which nobody would quite like. But Matt was TKO. He was out of it because he basically just got dropped, boom, onto and hit headfirst on top of the ring post, and was lucky he didn't severely hurt himself there. Exactly the same glassy-eyed look. He just wasn't there. So then the doc comes out. Thank God. Looks at him.
For the moment.
Looks at him. Matt wants to Matt, depending upon what you hear, Matt wants to continue, what have you, but then they have to keep fixing this through the night with commentary saying, "Oh, actually it's this," because everybody was furious.
Yeah.
With everybody involved.
That's the problem of trying to do damage control on the fly.
Yeah.
It's like you can't
absolutely
can't have...
absolutely. You could, by that point Matt was kind of back with us, but
again,
who cares at that point? That's severe. It also reminded me of the Mania main event, the Miz Cena main event, when Miz went got knocked over the barrier and just went, and that horrible noise when his head hit the concrete.
Aye.
And him being just glassy and just out of it because, unsurprisingly, You know, he's just been same thing. So anyway, he passed concussion test apparently. I'm pretty certain concussion tests take longer than that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's like I can recall concussion tests being a lot more detailed than just a guy going around with a pen. Let me just hang on.
Is that, how's that? Yeah, you're fine. I mean, this is the guy that saved Lawler, so we know that he does know his shit.
No.
But of anybody there, the person that had the ability to make the call to say that he is okay and is that person. However, all evidence we see with our eyes suggests, who cares? Stop the thing. It is stopped. The bell's rung. Sammy's won. And then Matt's on his feet and moving again, and the match restarts again. Aubrey doesn't know what to do because she's throwing up X's, and X's are being overruled. When have we had an X be overruled before? This is outrageous.
We've come close. We've come close. Like
that was only because Daniel Bryan was going to beat the crap out of everybody.
Yeah, I know.
Daniel Bryan, who was ready to rip Hunter's head off when he got back, and almost did. That would have been an interesting sentence, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah.
Hunter getting stretched.
Would it make a great story in Zolberg? I'll tell you that much.
And the fact that it's not denied, you know, it's part of the narrative that this is. He was quite ready to beat the sentence to Triple H.
Yeah.
So, at what point did anybody think, oh yeah, we need to go to the finish? Okay, we need to go to the finish. What's the finish? Oh, we're up a high scaffold and Sammy gets knocked off and down to the stage and breaks the stage. And fine. Go to the finish when you've got somebody who might have some kind of concussion, can barely stand up straight, and you've just stopped and restarted the match for some reason, but you stopped the match because he couldn't stand. What makes you think the safe thing then is to have him climb up a scaffolding?
So it just begs me the question, why would you have two high spots like this, and one of them being the finish?
It made no sense. I mean, I know there's probably a whole heap of stuff in between that we missed, and in a way, thank goodness we did, because bloody hell, again, we've said previously, AEW's pay-per-views have been zippity-zip quick, felt.
Yeah.
This one felt very long indeed, and it was very long indeed, and that's us missing out a whole bunch of stuff from this match. Matt won.
But it was a hollow victory.
A very hollow victory. Achieved that. Killed the crowd. Killed the crowd stone dead.
It killed my enjoyment of the show.
It took everybody watching out of the pay-per-view. It took people at Daly's place. It took us, those people who are watching at home, took us all out of the match, because at that point we didn't give a damn about the match. We just wanted to know, or the rest of the pay-per-view even, we kind of was like, you know, to hell with this. Please get Matt some medical attention. Matt Hardy has been one of my favourite wrestlers of the last 20 years. Long before Broken or anything else, when he was part of the Hardy Boys, you could tell that when they were having the matches with Edge and Christian and the Dudleys and everybody else in between, that when you come to the match and actually building the match, you could see Matt's fingerprints all over it. Matt is the passionate one about wrestling. This is why he's got all of his stuff up at home. He's got all of his Omega stuff, and it means so much to him as a performer. He's literally gone from sewing his tights to making his own promotion when he was a young kid, a makeshift trampoline to doing like a traveling circus thing as Omega to doing anything that and that and that, and he's there now to give back. He is in terms of a model professional who is a senior model professional in terms of giving back and working with talent. It's him and Jericho are the absolute prime examples. Different characters, different situations, different levels on the card, we know, but those are those guys. And I've always loved Matt for what he does and what he clearly does behind the scenes as well, because you can tell. Please don't try and kill him again.
No.
Please don't try and kill anybody again. It was reckless, it was irresponsible, and damn it, AEW, all the shit you got for it, you absolutely 100 billion% deserved. And that includes Matt. Because Matt, again, it's that old pro mentality. That old pro mentality of trying to get up and the show must go on. It's like, he should at least have been aware enough to know that he was. I mean, aware enough to know he whacked his head on the concrete. But at the same time, it's just like you can change the finish. So what? You've got something set up. So what? Mm-hmm. You know, if they hadn't have done the chair twist of fate earlier in the build up to this match, they could have done that. Because as we know that's a killer. That's like super twist of fate.
That's like game over.
That is like the extreme finisher. Everyone's got like a finisher, a super finisher, and you're never gonna kick out of this. You're just not. You're just not. This is, you've pushed the person too far, and they've made their finisher into something that's kind of like a murder device. When we first saw that in the Hardy versus Hardy match, it was a case of we've never expected to see it. We'd never seen it previously. It hadn't been something that even came to our minds, and then it was just like, oh yeah, Jeff's dead. Jeff's dead. Matt's won this, and yeah, that's the end of the match. Okay. Yep. But yeah, did you see Rebby's tweet with the phone messages that she sent between her and Matt? And it's like, what the fuck, Matt? What the fuck, Matt? Absolutely, you idiot, Matt. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
It's exactly that. Exactly the situation. And what's good that's come out of this is because, the wrestling world united for the 90% of it, and their main concern was Matt. And that's followed through to Dynamite. We had lots of people tuning in on Dynamite, and it was principally to see Matt's going to be okay. How hurt he has been is still questioned, I think. But he's taking some time off, rightly so. Take a nice holiday, get yourself back up, and he's now moving on, presumably to TNT Championship, which is fine.
There it is.
If he gets a nice little title run out of this, good. And he's still working with private parties, not the end of that. And he name-checked them in his speech and everything, and clearly cares about that. And actually, that was probably the most real what he said on Dynamite. I'm assuming you've seen that.
No, I haven't actually. No.
Definitely go and see it, because it's the most. I mean, previous to this, the most real speech was something that Matt said on Dynamite, and it's very, very real about wrestling and giving and the risks that wrestlers take.
All right. I did hear the kind of like being talked about, but I haven't actually watched it properly.
I would definitely see it, and I'd also recommend that to you watching or listening at home or on the bus or traveling away or I don't know, having sex, whatever it is you're doing when you're watching or listening to us. Oh, there are strange people out there, John. There are strange people out there.
I don't know about that.
Dude.
Not based on the view count.
Dude, I've been in. Well, that's just the YouTube, but I've the weirdest thing I've ever had said to me was just like, "Oh, me and my partner were listening to an episode of Radio Redux while we were having sex the other
Okay,
day."
now that's Radio Redux. I don't think anyone would be wanting
I don't know.
listen to two guys talk about wrestling while they're making love with
I don't know. If I talk about the Falcon Arrow enough, it might get some people excited. So yeah.
Please, Kev. I don't want to imagine the cat getting excited because of our talk here.
Don't start bringing her into it. There's...
I said the cat, not...
Oh, the cat.
Not a cat.
Okay, I'm confused now. Anyway, crowd's now out of it. Social media is baying for AEW's blood, and rightly so. And they continue to make a hash of this all the way through the night. Next up, two women try their best to try and get a crowd out of thinking about Matt Hardy. Hikaru Shida versus Thunder Rosa in a cross-promotional match. AEW and NWA, which is interesting. And opens the door to Aldis coming in again, I guess.
Yeah, it does open the door.
It was interesting that in the video package, Billy didn't appear. It was only his voice. So it was like he did something for it, but he didn't appear. He wasn't on camera. But there was nice things said, and it was a long match. It was just shy of 17 minutes. And everyone thought that this was one of the best matches on the night, except me. I thought it was kind of boring.
No, I don't agree. I don't disagree. I
was expecting you to, actually.
Well, here's the thing. It's like... just overall, like, especially since this is leading up after, the Broken Rules match, I was just not in the right mindset to keep watching. And even though they were doing their best to be technical marvels in the ring, I did not care. Because I was just out of it. I was just meh. And I will still be meh for the rest of this card. And it's like, even though there will be some notable stuff, especially with Orange Cassidy later on and the main event and whatnot. But I agree. I was just not, because that's the problem with the women's division. You had some really good characters in the women's division. You had Suzuki, it was mostly comprised of like the Japanese pedigree.
Riho and everybody else.
Yeah, Riho and all that. So
it's sort of
but it's just
stumbled
not,
and fall over.
It's not
it's weird.
prominent. It's not prominent, and that is also the same case right now in the championship scene. It's not prominent. There's nothing there. There's no hook
because it relied so much on. There was sort of a Japanese American, and then you've got there was a couple of Mexican there too, if I recall. Because of the travel restriction of COVID, that is absolutely, because it was so reliant on that mix. It's really done a number on it. And they've had injuries. They've had people being let go because of problems.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems that they can't do right for doing wrong with the women's division. But even with the separation and me knowing everything obviously was okay with Matt before I watched it.
Yeah.
I was looking at it and I was thinking it was technical. Yes, it was also slow. It was also
It was 17 minutes.
It was slow paced, slow moves. It wasn't it wasn't deliberate slowness. It just looked slow. It looked like two people who were sort of feeling each other out and not quite sure what to do with each other in the ring.
Do you think it was like the same kind of like slow as pre-women's revolution, like wrestling matches?
No. It was just
like
slow.
Like everyone was running at half speed, not at like regular speed.
Oh, pre-women's revolution, it was more of a case, well, ignoring certain individuals who've obviously been around for a while, and that was more of a case of people not knowing what they were doing. In a lot of instances, and being kind of green, and not being professional wrestlers per se. The most diva of divas in that situation. That was a different kind of slow. It just seemed like I was watching it on half speed. You know when you like you press play and rewind at the same time, and it's like
or in this modern day era, if you change the YouTube player speed to half speed,
and you've got that ability to do it seemed off. It's the same
I
seemed
agree.
off.
I agree with that.
I mean, Thunder Rosa looked strong because she pretty much had the entire match apart from the very finish. But I don't think it did Shida any massive favours. I don't think it did Thunder Rosa any massive favours apart from bringing them all to prominence. And
I wasn't expecting anything from because you kind of knew going into it. It's like, you're not gonna let the AEW champion lose her title to the NWA title on an AEW product.
Yeah. I mean, as friendly as they are with NWA, and I think they're probably more friendly with NWA than they are with pretty much anybody, maybe except AAA.
I don't expect them to team up with Impact.
I'm not expecting it anytime soon. But you know, I mean, there'll be a match down the line where they'll appear on Power, I guess. And it'll probably be a lot better because it'll be tight in a crowd. And I think they were thrown off. I think they were thrown off by how dead everybody was.
Yeah,
a little bit. The commentary was off because the commentary was still, reading themselves,
being damage control.
And I mean, that was actually the other thing was the commentary at the time was like, "No, Matt's hurt, and this should probably end." And then it kind of continued, and they had to sort of row back on that a bit. But yeah, they were all out of it still. It was a shame. There was some really nice moves in there. There was a couple of like creative submissions we've not really seen for a very long time. Oh yeah, the pendulum one, the pendulum submission or whatever it was, where it was she was held her up and then like bashed her head into the blimmin' turnbuckle at the bottom. Because she got into that position, and it was like, oh wow, I was like, well, I'll tell you what, she could be really mean here and just start whacking her head into the... Oh my god, she's actually doing it. And that was fine. The stretch muffler looked kind of crap, frankly, that she had to put on. I know it wasn't the full thing, but hey. Whatever. You're right, John. You went to sleep then for a minute, it looked like.
Sorry, I'm just like... That is my kind of like feeling of the match. It was kind of put. Actually, you know what? The whole that was the whole show, really.
It was the whole show. Moving along, we might as well. 8-man tag team match.
Oh god. Okay, now I'm definitely gonna go to fucking sleep.
Natural Nightmares, Dustin Rhodes, QT Marshall, Matt. Please don't be the third Matt to have a problem. Cardona. And Scorpio Sky coming out not to SCU intro, which I found interesting.
Okay.
Has he left SCU? What's the deal there? I
mean, they're wanting to have him break off.
Yes, because that's the case. But
fair enough.
Continue.
Fair dues, but I would have thought he would still be part of SCU for this match. So.
With the Nightmare Sisters versus the Dark Order of Evil Uno, Mr. Brody Lee, and Stu Grayson as the Dark Order with their chum. And it is still weird that we've got this face teaming with the heel group. It's still weird with Colt Cabana just there. Because
it's like it's Colt fucking Cabana, for crying out loud. I don't understand this. It doesn't make any sense of a character like him being associated with the Dark effing Order. It's like trying to get Joe Henry to team up with bloody Nexus. Now.
Well, yeah.
Or more relevant, Revolution.
Yeah, absolutely. So.
Or Retribution.
Everything was kind of odd. Commentary on this was interesting. Putting over Stu Grayson strongly. JR fucking burying Matt Cardona. I don't know what's up with Matt Cardona, but there's something missing. And when he finds it, we're going to be surprised. The guy's literally changed himself up and done everything. And it's like he's had this long career. He's the veteran. Why do you say that about the veteran?
I'm sorry, but you say that. It's like he tries to change. He does change his stuff up, but his gear is still the same.
Oh, it's just revisioned in the back corner. But that's not the thing. That's not the thing that was being inferred. It's like, why would you do the vet dirty like that? It's weird.
Well, maybe he's not the kind of vet that is well versed in the old school wrestling kind of mentality of things. He got himself over his way in a more unique way and whatnot. And some old schoolers probably just don't see that as.
I just felt it was a very odd line. Not nearly as odd as the line we had later.
I think it was probably meant for someone else, and JR just took it.
It's so weird. I know he's not technically with the company yet, but surely you don't fucking bury the guy. The contrast with Stu Grayson, which they quite rightly made a big fuss over because Stu Grayson's bloody awesome and always has been. Evil Uno got some decent character stuff in there, and actually the bit at the end was very interesting, I thought. Because the whole thing is, it's like the story with Colt is obviously them trying to turn. It's the slow corruption of Colt Cabana, but it's not working.
It's not working. If it was working, it would have worked from frickin' day one as soon as he got signed up to the bloody order.
So I found it odd that. Well, I didn't find it odd, but I found it very interesting that Evil Uno was the one who stayed behind and offered him a hand and sort of consoled Colt after the finish and it all going wrong, because it's like, he's the because Evil Uno's been on the receiving end of Mr. Brody Lee's rage and he kind of understands, and Colt was all upset and just finally Brody's sort of snapping at Colt Cabana because Colt wanted to do another move and put an actual exclamation mark on it that was his.
Yeah.
Dustin. Bloody hell, Dustin. Dustin Rhodes, everybody. Just to remind you that Dustin Rhodes is class and again always has been. He's a fucking Rhodes. We had it was Blue Rhodes. Blue Tista Rhodes. As opposed to Red Dustin, we had Blue Dustin for some bloody reason. I don't know why.
Well, maybe he just wanted to. I mean, granted, yeah, the whole natural gimmick. Well, he's not even really doing the natural gimmick. He's like
the Natural Nightmares tag team. I could take or leave.
He's with QT Marshall, any, or is it
somebody else I could take or leave? To be honest.
Yeah. So he's trying to. I would say, I don't know. Is he trying to match to the stylings of QT Marshall? Maybe.
No, I don't think so.
Who knows?
It's the Natural
maybe
Nightmares
maybe he's just wanted to take, just.
They've been on a tear.
Fair dues.
But that was the other thing. Because they came into this match having like beaten the Dark Order like 4 times or something in the last 4 matches of Natural Nightmares. So it was not been going so well. Yeah, Dustin was in a mood to show off. Him versus Brody Lee immediately got my attention. I don't know about you, and how vicious that got.
Yeah, I mean, it's hopefully would start something, a little small program.
Well, it is.
Yeah. So, yeah,
it is. We're continuing on that with the TNT Championship. Dustin pulled off a great promo at the end.
Yeah, and he got a title shot afterwards.
Yeah, he got a title shot.
He would be given that title shot.
He made it very clear that meant a lot to him because he doesn't get.
Yeah, so it made sense in the match that he would have that kind of like fire with.
Absolutely.
Lee, so.
It was I say 15 minutes match. It was fine. Everybody got their stuff in. I would like to see Scorpio Sky get a little bit more in.
But you see, with so many men in that 15-minute time frame, you're looking at like, say about like, well, if it was on average, it was like about 2 minutes per pairing, or something like that. So, and even you'd be skipping out a couple of pairings as well, like so.
Yeah.
But hey.
There was all sorts going on. I think Dustin got a big boot on the outside as well at one point, and the commentary completely missed it. Brody basically just caved somebody's skull in with his boot. And
it's like the discus close. It wasn't really a discus clothesline. He didn't spin around for it.
Yeah, but the clotheslines are meaty as hell when they were in the ring.
Oh yeah, aye.
Anyway, finish comes. Dustin gets it and is the hero with a nice assist from Matt Cardona, because he was the one that stopped Brody Lee getting in. He basically. You actually see it on the replay. It wasn't brought up in the commentary, but Brody was actually coming in, and then Matt basically just like launched himself at him and wrapped around his neck and stopped him getting in and breaking up the count. Anyway, they get their revenge. Brandy got her revenge against 99.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about that. Jesus, the Brandy shot.
That kick.
Jesus.
That kick was like, woof, okay.
Yeah, it's like she has that show called A Shot of Brandy. No, that kick was the shot of Brandy.
Yeah, that was a really impressive kick. What wasn't impressive was JR being all super creepy. We mentioned him earlier. JR, you're not Lawler. And
he's an old man now. He's
but
I don't know if this is him, if it's been written for him, or he legitimately is like his total mindset has changed ever since his misfortunes and whatnot. So
I don't know. It seems, but it was a very unnecessary and tasteless event.
Yeah.
And again, it's one of those, I think, again, it took us out of the match. Anyway, so yes. Colt Cabana is destined to get some papers to the face, I guess. And the Dark Order goes 0 for 2 at the pay-per-view, despite the fact that they've actually had a decent run recently.
Yeah, so it kind of sucks that their momentum was pretty much grinding to a halt at that during All Out.
So, AEW World Tag Team Title Match, FTR. Fear the Revelation, Revolution, Revolt, other words beginning with R that probably are also copyrighted.
Fear the racing.
Yes.
Fear the rhubarb.
Reels. Feel the rhubarb. Never touch another man's rhubarb, John. You should know this, mate. Right. So FTR versus Paige and Kenny Omega. That went nearly 30 minutes.
Fuck, it was that long?
It was 29 minutes, 37 seconds.
Fucking hell. Okay, there was there was moments in this, but by God, that is just too long.
They could have shaved.
Was there a time limit on this?
No,
match?
no. It was.
So
the
this
longest...
could have gone longer.
It was the longest match by about 5 minutes. They could have shaved 5 minutes off of this and been, all right.
Yes.
Again, we had some. It was very high storytelling.
Yes.
In terms of what's going on and is playing into a larger picture. It was still, there was good stuff from, I think, everybody involved. The tandem offense stuff, the sequencing that FTR did, some of the stuff that they were doing, it was like the shot into the bridging suplex and then the leap over into like the jackknife type.
Yeah,
type pin.
it's just their classic kind
so
of like work rate.
Good. Yeah. FTR is so damn good.
I forgot. We forget sometimes of how well these guys can work at a top level, when given the opportunity. But of course, we never we've never had that for the longest time.
Adam Page was very flippy and wasn't doing Adam Page stuff all that much, apart from the sort of the fall away slam and other stuff. The great piece of commentary are like selling him not leaping backwards and instead leaping forwards off of this great piece of on the fly thinking, just because they've gone from one, because FTR moved from one side to the other. It's like, well, he was going to do a moonsault back. Oh, he's just going to leap off now. What a fantastic piece of improvisation.
Yeah, that's a way of covering it.
What are you talking about? He just leaps off he leaps off the way he's facing. With a weird tope somersault. I don't know. Whatever it was. It was... Kenny was trying some stuff, which was good to see. I think Kenny's got a bit annoyed by people saying that he's not done nearly as well as what have you. That's one of the reasons he's going into the single.
I've been hearing the reports of that, yeah.
Yeah, he's the fact that there's been this ongoing thing, just like, well, aren't you the best bout machine? Well, it would be nice to see one. And that's why he's going again. It's somebody else who since their fight with Moxley hasn't performed to the level that it was. Because remember when we saw that way back when. Mm-hmm. I mean that was everybody was rabid for that match in terms of everything that was going on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very very much the technical stuff was good. It went too long. Mm-hmm. We've fed back into the storyline. The belts are finally off Paige and Omega, and thank goodness for that.
Thank God, yeah. That was the main problem for the tag division, is because you had them as champions, and
you had them as champions.
You had the long, kind of like where's the dissension? Who will turn on who, and blah 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 blah. And yet we still haven't kind of like got that resolution yet. But finally, we have the tag titles off of them, so that way we can have a program between Omega and Paige.
And that will elevate Paige, which is good because we know Paige is the long-term plan, and rightfully so. He's got all the thing in the world. There's a heck of a lot of character stuff going on at the minute, and what I really liked was the video package they had at the beginning, because they had the Bucks involved in it, and they talk about that, and the Bucks being like completely, we don't care. I thought that was great. I like the idea of, and this is different. We've had a situation where we've had this group, and we're not sure of the situation with Cody, because it's always been presented as, it was presented on being the elite, as the elite, it's fractured and shattered, and we had the picture to illustrate that. Cody's kind of outside of all this shit that's going on, and that's going to be interesting when he comes back.
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's like ever since Cody's been put out of action, the elite has slowly degraded.
Yeah.
And this was the breaking point.
Absolutely. But what I find very interesting is what we've had is not a case of one member has turned on a team and one member of a stable has turned heel, and the team's fractured.
Yeah.
That's not what happened this time. What happened is one member of the team fucked up and turned everybody else heel. And it's a case of, no, the face has made the mistake. The face is entirely responsible for this mistake, as is acknowledged by everybody, from commentary to the face to everybody else in the group. And they said that in the video package, that Paige is the one that fucked up, and Paige is the one that has cost all this. Paige is the one that's pushed everybody away.
Yeah,
for accident action. It's so different, and I really do like that, because it's a different kind of consequence.
Yeah,
for face to make a mistake to such a degree that they completely stuff up their quote unquote real world relationship.
Yeah,
and turn everybody else. I can't remember that ever happening before. Not a face stay face and turn the rest of the group heel by them screwing up, or specifically like an action outside of wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's coming to mind straight out of the bat. Yeah. I would have said like something like in one of the runs of D-Generation X. But
heels, a team of heels, somebody in a heel has made a mistake, and that's turned them face, or turned everybody else face. But it's not happened in the reverse. It's not happened where a face makes a mistake, is entirely guilty of it. It's not a setup or anything, it was a setup in this case, but
he stays. But
it's their doing. They stay face, and everybody else is turned. That's different. I like that. Tully, I think Tully actually added a lot in this match.
He would. He
in terms of because he was the influence. He was giving advice. He was you could see stuff, and commentary actually again Excalibur pointing out stuff and tying stuff into history, and then Shivani and JR repeating him because they're being assholes. That happened many times during the fucking pay-per-view, and it wasn't necessary. It's like, yes, we know. There's a reason why he's putting in energy, JR, is because you're fucking not. But yeah, title change. Then we had the Omega car thing. What do you think's next state for the Elite? What's going to happen now with all of them?
I mean, the Young Bucks. I feel as though that the Young Bucks will do their own thing. Kenny Omega will have his program with Hangman Page, and when that's over, Page will move on probably back into the title scene, because he's been out of it for like the singles title scene. He's been out of that for the longest time. And Omega might be backing off a bit. Maybe, I don't know. He might go for to try to have another feud with another up and comer going forward. Maybe he might have a feud with Orange Cassidy, possibly.
Maybe.
So, who knows? Who knows? I know the Young Bucks. It'll be hard for them to kind of like split apart.
No, they don't need. They don't need to. I don't think.
No.
We did get a teaser. We did get yet another tease for the return of the cleaner gimmick for Omega.
All right. Yeah.
Because Omega was very clean on. Was very emphatic on we need a clean start when he was clean start. Okay, we've had tease on being the elite as well, that the cleaner is coming. So.
All right.
That'll be interesting. So if we get like full heel Omega, there's quite a lot of heels in AEW. I've got to say there's quite a lot of heels.
Yeah, and if they're not heels, they're on the borderline of they're like tweeners.
A lot of the groups, a lot of the factions are heels as well. Because we've got Dark Order heels. We've got Tully's group heels.
Yeah.
We've got Taz's group heels.
Yeah.
We got the Splinter Elite.
Baker.
Brit's a heel, and her ensemble are heels.
Yeah.
There's a
a
lot of stuff going. Sorry, I completely forgot the Inner Circle. Of course, Inner Circle are all heels.
Yeah, the only factions that are not heels are Jurassic Express, and to a lesser extent SCU. Yeah, I mean even SCU.
SCU and the Nightmare Family is technically face at the minute.
Aye.
Until Cody comes back and he's a heel. Everyone's fucking heel. Yeah.
Because it's all cool.
Well, the point was that Cody was slowly going heel, wasn't he?
At one point, yeah.
Makes no...
while during his TNT run or TNT Championship.
Yeah, because he was doing more and more. He was getting slightly more heels, out of sort of desperation to try and prove something to Arn.
Yeah,
that he was going more and more heel, and now that's kind of like, well, we're really going to get heel elite? I don't think we are. Anyway, up next, a match that was far better than it had any right to be. Tell us all about the Mimosa Mayhem match, John. I want to hear what you have to say about this one.
It's a stupid sounding concept where you could either win by pinfall submission or throw your opponent into a vat of orange juice and champagne.
Yep.
Whatnot with Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho, obviously, the dude knows how to work with Orange Cassidy. Working for this is because on paper you're just thinking it's what the hell. How the hell can this be entertaining? What's this is stupid. What's going on here? But no. It's Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho being the best he can be in this industry, working with someone with a lot of charisma and whatnot. But this time around, unlike their previous encounters, they go all out as intended, I would think, because it's all out. It's Orange Cassidy wasn't messing around; he was right in there, and it was going at it straight out of the bat. Yeah, because we had this was probably my match of the night.
Because we had, didn't we, the instance of we've seen that Orange has kind of broken gimmick kind of, and properly shown that that hey, he can do all this stuff and he can move fast and he can do all the other stuff. And there was the Dynamite where he attacked Jericho and basically shoved him through the back while he was on commentary. You just saw this dot just go zoom in the background. It was Orange Cassidy. But we had that from the beginning, and Jericho being wise to the fact that Orange will actually come out of the gate super quick and ended up going straight into a code breaker for a 2. And not doing the usual stuff. They were very smart here, AEW, in that they made it super clear from the get-go, you have to be submerged. It's not a hand, a limb, whatever.
Yeah, it's not like an Inferno match.
Hitting it, exactly that. It's not like you the minutest bit, or even the first blood match. It's not even that. There's not the minutest bit of the sign of what have you. And that's smart because you're covering mistakes, but covering mistakes that might lead to somebody going partly in. But you're also got to then you get to play with it, like Jericho's leg going in and make a big old splash, and everyone was like, "Oh!" And then but Aubrey's saying to the crowd, and the wrestlers "No, it's not that. He has to be in. He has to be in." And they're giving Jericho a bit of a scare. Jericho trying to fucking drown. I was waiting for that. It's like somebody's got to try and drown somebody in Mimosa.
Well, you'll find that Jericho would be the showman to kind of go all
absolutely.
But yeah, no, it's granted, full on trying to. It's what was it? It's like in those kind of movies where you have the kind of the bad guy obviously having the the hero by the face, and they're trying to put him into the vat of acid and stuff
it's exactly that. And that Jericho is a big fan of horror movies, so he had that in mind. He had exactly that in mind.
So that's why I totally enjoyed this, because they played to the strengths of overall entertainment.
This was fun. It was fun. Things to sort of semi-note, I guess, was when the cup was broken. The cup came away from the stem of the glass. And Aubrey put it back together again. It was that's being used at some point. So, and then of course Orange, as soon as he gets it, it falls apart again. He's desperately trying to keep the samosa pin, the bloody thing. But yeah, no, they made sense of it. The table spots were, even the little table spots were nice. Yeah, Jericho just throwing a table in his face. And then when the power bomb onto the table, turning around and just everything shattering, and you knew that there was the bubbly there, so it was all technically glass, and everything was there. It looked, and you just ended up with that circle of cracked glass on the table. It was a really good visual. I could understand why people would hate this. Because, like you said, on paper everything looks terrible, but you had Jericho in full-on entertainment mode, and selling comic. It was a comedy match. We know it's a comedy match, but it was taken very seriously. This mimosa was seen as the most. The fact that it wasn't just that. Also, it was pinfall submissions and that.
Yeah.
So there was still
you could have easily seen a traditional finish after into it, but you kind of knew someone was going.
Oh, someone was always going in. It's like always the same. It's always the same. Some people were at a table.
Whether it be the finish itself, or it would happen after the finish.
Which is what I had in the predictions, if you remember. I said that Jericho would win, but that Jericho would end up in the mimosa afterwards. So, yeah, fun match. That was the rubber match.
Yeah.
Jericho gets to move on to somebody else and promote them. After which, I'm guessing he'll go back for the title and then have another quick run with the title, and then it'll be wash, repeat.
Yeah.
What doesn't need to do anything else? Couple of 2 or 3 feuds to put people over. Title picture, run with the belt. Again.
Fair dues.
Well, yeah, wonderful.
Well, at the moment he's doing tag team work now.
Yeah, he's reckons he's doing tag team with Jake Hager.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to.
No.
Unless Jericho is like also Jericho's spoken with Matt probably or something, and it's like he wants to work with Private Party and see what they're doing. He wants to work with Private Party, or actually he might even want to work specifically with Jurassic Express a bit more.
Yeah, there was a tease of that a while ago.
So that wouldn't surprise me either of those teams. The only problem is if you do that, it just you have a tag team in the Inner Circle. Please utilize them properly. In fact, you have the Inner Circle. Please utilize them properly.
Yeah,
that's another. They're supposed to be our super heel group, aren't they?
So yeah.
Too many heel groups, telling you.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, they'll just merge with the corporate Inner Circle coming soon.
No. It'll be the dark Inner Circle, and then it'll be the dark corporate Inner Circle.
Yeah, Jericho is actually revealed all along to be the proper exalted one, because like Seth Rollins, Chris Jericho needs more nicknames.
Yeah. He's already a demo god. Yeah.
The demo god, Le Champion, the Painmaker,
the Mischief Maker,
the Mischief Maker, the Man of 1,004 Holes, Y2J.
Anyway.
Oh, anything else? The Rating Slayer. Get that in there now. The Rating Slayer. AEW World Title match.
Right.
Jon Moxley versus somebody from the crowd. And then eventually versus MJF. 23 minutes 42.
Wow, the first one lasted 23 minutes. It's like
Jon Moxley MJF lost 23 minutes 42. The battle with the battle with the person from the crowd lasted very short amount of time.
About 3 seconds. Obviously.
Short amount of time. Thanks to security coming in with a clothesline. A clothesline from the police department.
It wasn't really a clothesline. It was more of a tackle,
snatch.
Down. Yeah.
It was great.
It was like what was it? It was kind of like a quick game of supermarket sweep. Someone just grabbing all stuff from the shelf. It's come here.
That was it. It was your inflatable bonus of a person from the crowd. And there were
a inflatable bonus of an idiot.
$200. Apparently, it was all very harmless, but at the same time, it was like
he obviously never.
After the pay per view we'd had, the last thing we needed was somebody trying to attack Jon Moxley. So actually, very well done, the security guy, because just very well done.
Yeah, and especially in this time of environment and whatnot.
So MJF comes out in his Ric Flair robe.
Of course he would.
This was vicious. This really did showcase MJF being a tough bastard.
Yeah, I mean, granted, he was already shown before in matches prior. He's had some prior engagements with other superstars. Sorry, I'm speaking like a WWE guy.
Mark.
But no, with other wrestlers he's had before, obviously with his work with Jungle Boy, obviously you know how vicious he can be in the ring and whatnot, but
Mm-hmm.
with Moxley, you got some brutal shit, like proper. And of course, he had the match in his favor as well, and we were kind of like thinking, okay, this is it. They're gonna pull the trigger, give him, give him the rub and whatnot. It's like he's got everything for him and whatnot, but it's like, Moxley. He would know. He would know how to work it.
The attempted cheating.
He may be
backfired.
a crazy bastard, but he's a genius of a crazy bastard.
This move is banned. Excellent. Use the move.
Yeah.
You know, actually, one of the things I did note about this match, and AEW in general, it's nice that all the referees are getting a good chance at actually doing the main events of pay-per-views. Because we had Bryce as the referee for the main event. We've had Aubrey as the ref for the main event. Obviously, we've had the chief ref, our good friend. He's
Bloomin', frick.
Knox or something. I can't remember. I totally was trying to cover for the fact that I couldn't remember his name. But everybody's kind of had that role. Everybody's done stuff as in the main event, and it's good because WWE tends to be like a couple of people because they're the top guys, the top refs.
Yeah.
It's all been
you've
cycled
had Earl Hebner as well.
Yeah. So there've been lots of cycling round of the referee. It's good because putting more responsibility and elevating people. It's not like they can't do it, either of them. No. So
I mean that should be the case, really, because it's like referees should be working on a rota based system on these events and whatnot. You can't have the same rota.
It's not a keeping people down. Actually, and again, Bryce was good in the match because he was multiple times. Obviously, he went for the paradigm shift in Moxley in the match. At one time, he was very specifically doing it, and Bryce was like, "No, think about it. You're gonna lose the belt. Don't do it. Don't do it. If you do, this is what's going to happen." And Moxley's going, "Oh,
yeah,
I so want to hit him with this move."
So yeah, the psychology was there. Yeah. And storytelling, whatnot. It's like, and the brutalness of like,
and a slightly unnecessary blading as well.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, granted, you could have had blood in this match, but I would have thought it would probably be better to do it hard way rather than with a blade.
Yeah, I mean, if it happens, it happens.
Yeah. Like you didn't need to force it.
Apparently MJF is one of those that bleeds really thickly, which is something I didn't know I needed to know.
He's younger though.
He's younger.
I think
he hasn't thinned it out yet.
Yeah.
Like the rest of us, this is just water coloured with red dye inside.
I was gonna say, I mean, how many times has he busted himself open? Or even like bladed himself
previously was hard way.
Yeah, probably the previous time he did.
We know that was a specific blade work. I mean, it was a good blade work in terms of the fact that what it was. It was actually good. It was actually good camera work because we weren't looking anywhere near him when it happened. It wasn't necessarily clear it was going to happen, but I don't know.
But no, it's like the match was great.
Yeah, Moxley biting it. Just coming out of his mouth full of blood.
That's Moxley just being like obviously.
Moxley saw that. Moxley saw that. Oh, that's an idea.
Yeah.
Snack.
I was gonna say, did you watch Matt Hardy do that to Jack the Jobber back in
the day?
delete WCPW.
Oh yeah. Try to eat his face.
We got an ear at least.
Absolutely.
But no, yeah, it's like it was like the outcome I was disappointed with. Obviously, it's like I really thought MJF would actually win it and become the champion and whatnot, and we would go forward with a new heel champion on top. But no, they want to keep Moxley going and want to keep the you know, the babyface run of Moxley keep going, whether or not they do anything else. Change him.
Yeah, I agree though with that decision. We know MJF is gonna be crowned at some point as champ, and he's gonna be this super heel. And we know that's the case, and then that works out well because then we're building up MJF and we're building up Paige, and eventually MJF and Paige will be the ones fighting over the title. We know that.
Yeah, which has been teased like
this is properly long-term planning by the company as to where we know MJF's going to be anointed as the guy, but now was not that time. And I think we need to build him up more. He's justified now. He's even more justified that, you know, it's unfair because he got beaten by the move that was never mind that he was cheating all over the place and he was about to cheat with you know, the Ring of Doom.
The Ring of Doom.
The diamond ring, the kryptonite ring. Never mind that, but he's justified in that, you know, he used it. The paradigm shift that he did on him was like he went super high for it. I don't know what was up with that.
He really wanted to.
That was like a brainbuster DDT. It was weird.
That was almost like Bloody Sunday. Levels of DDT. Like you know, if he was proper like up and whatnot, that would have been like a Bloody Sunday more so than a paradigm shift.
It was there was the joy in Moxley's face when he realised that he could. that was I love Moxley's character. I do love Moxley's character.
You know what want to see for like an edit is basically a like in Marvel vs. Capcom and whatnot, where a silhouette, if you're doing a special, a silhouette of the character would show in, and then they would do their special move. I just want that to happen, where it's like, Moxley realizes it, and then his silhouette would come in, and it's like a picture thing before he does this, does this thing and whatnot. So I just want to see that, just like. It's like marvelous. Yeah.
What I loved most of all was at the end of it, Wardlow's surprised Pikachu face when he realised he kind of goofed up.
Yeah.
Oh no. So
it was there. There was. So yeah, like the last two matches for me. They were great matches and whatnot.
Got us back into it.
Yeah. But, of course, by this time, obviously, if you were watching it live, like, these matches, like, you didn't really matter too much about the matches at all on the live. But going back and rewatching it and rewatching those two matches back to back, they were good. So...
Absolutely. And... especially the last one did a lot for character for both, elevated both people. If we go back through the card, right? Tooth and Nail did nothing for nobody. The tag team match didn't really elevate anybody. The Battle Royale didn't really elevate Lance Archer all that much. We know he's a tough bastard, and we know he's dangerous, and even the match didn't really prove it. The elevating Sammy Guevara obviously didn't happen for Matt Hardy. Talk about a curse.
That devalued.
Talk about we know that some pay-per-views are just cursed. We've know that there's the odd WWE where like 3 people get in. Well, no, that's another. That's something obviously people brought up a lot, obviously with the Matt Hardy thing, with the whole show must go on thing. Because that was a lot of people saying WWE wouldn't do this, and people responded, actually, there's a very notable thing that you're kind of forgetting. So we've got that didn't happen. But we know there've been cursed pay-per-views where it was like there's been multiple matches stopped because of injury, and it just all going to hell and all going wrong. And there's been pay-per-views where like half the matches, half the people coming out of them have been like injured or something like that. This was a very cursed pay-per-view. But Hardy Guevara is a cursed feud for the entire thing with Sammy's issues and then the problems with the match and Matt being injured and everything else. Absolutely cursed. Shida Rosa didn't elevate either of them. The 8-man tag didn't elevate anybody, with the exception of maybe Stu Grayson, who got to actually showcase and was actually spotlighted. FTR versus Page and Omega did elevate FTR, but only
at least.
But at least it was all very hyper story. But you know, they got to prove their point. What I meant to say about that match is that I'm not quite sure why did they fuck up on the finish? Was Paige not supposed to kick out of the Spike Pile Driver first of all? Because they did that and then they did like another thing and then like hit with another finish and then they won.
Well, they did the pile driver twice.
Yeah, they did it twice and
like,
it kicked out of the first one. I'm not sure he was supposed to kick out of it. Because it was so like put together quickly that I'm not sure if that was just a mistake. Because there's no way that somebody should be kicking out of that, the mind break or whatever it is they're calling it now. There's no way that somebody should be kicking out of that, I think.
I wasn't thinking too much on that, but no, maybe looking back on it, maybe it was a botch. Maybe no, actually no. That kick out was too clean for him
but
to.
It was like somebody Omega
down.
was trying to get in, and it was sort of a very late kick out, and I just wonder if
it was supposed to be a breakup
Omega. or something happened. Something happened. Yeah, the fact that he kicked out specifically was just very weird. Orange Cassidy, Jericho. The entire program has elevated Orange Cassidy, we know, and Moxley, MJF has obviously elevated MJF. So much far better is going on, but must do better in terms of the mid and lower card. AEW must do better.
Yeah.
So times for scores. What do you say for AEW All Out 2020? And I know this might be a very interesting one to score and difficult in terms to score, just because of all that's going on and the general mood of the pay-per-view throughout, certainly after the first hour and a half or so.
Yeah. I was just bored for the most of it. Like, this is the first AEW show where I was like, I just don't want to watch this. Like, and this was before the Matt Hardy thing. I was just not invested at all whatsoever. And to have to drag through all of that only to get to, to Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho to finally get something enjoyable to watch out of it, and then a main event afterwards that was a bit more investable and stuff like that. Yeah, it's like I can't give this any more than a 2. Like, I was that like I was just so out of it. If it was just those two, and that was the case, like, I was coming back to this. I didn't watch this live. I couldn't watch this live, and I had to come back to this and whatnot. And just the realization, like, you don't know how hard it was for me to not fast forward through this whole thing.
You don't know how hard it is to be John Finlay.
Like, I wanted to fast forward through this mostly, and but at least I found some entertainment in the end of the pay-per-view. But I had to slog through quite a lot to, of things. And many people are probably gonna shout at me, what you don't like the Young Bucks? You think it's like, yeah, but I've seen it all before. I've seen all that before, and it it's just not. It just didn't engage. It just didn't click with me, guys. It just didn't. And I know this is probably this is the lowest.
Oh, this is by far
I've
the
had.
lowest rating for AEW so far by a long chalk.
So really, in all honesty, and this is not my opinion. Go and check everyone else's opinion. It's like a lot of people have the same kind of like mindset where overall the whole show was not the best show that AEW has produced, but they had decent matches and decent kind of like work rate stuff. But really, in all honesty, the last two matches were all that I cared about, and that's why it's only getting 2, because it's just a point for both of those matches.
Yeah. My score is going to be comparatively much higher. But it's still going to be low. It's a 5.
You're being way too generous.
It's
That's
a
average.
5. It's a 5, and believe me, I was umming and ahhing between actually, you know what? I can make it 4.5 because I was umming and ahhing between 4 and 5. Make it 4.5 because I legitimately really enjoyed the last 3 matches on the card, and that's an hour of my time. The 8-man tag I was okay with. And the Bucks Jurassic Express match I was okay with. Everything else around it, I was not. It was boring. It was pedestrian. It was out of sync. Even if we hadn't have had the Matt Hardy thing, it might even have been up to a 6. But no. Just no. Just no. It deserves a low rating, but I think that the last hour redeemed it for me from a score which could have possibly been lower than yours. And it's just that. It's just that saved the day for them.
Fair dues. It's good. It's good that you found something more out of it than I did.
Oh God, yeah.
Really,
it doesn't.
I mean, granted, I'm probably in the minority to have it so low. But
no, I don't think you are. I think you'll find it probably varies between that 6 and that 2 in terms of score. But the entire thing was, even the graphics were off. I know we had the cut through effect on the all out thing, which is great, but they then put it on the names as well, and the end result was when you had something like actually the thing I noticed, it was in that 8-man tag, because you had the Dark Order and it was kind of cut through the Dark Order and looked really good, and then but you had like the various other names, and it cut through like these 4 sets of names, and basically you had the Natural Nightmares. Orpeo Sky and Matt C. some kind of hieroglyphs because his entire surname had been erased by the effects. Even down to that. And the pyro going off. We didn't even mention the random pyro started going off in the middle of the casino battle royale.
Wow. I again,
some random pyro
I could miss some of these things.
It was all weird. It was all weird. It was all crappy. It was kind of screwed. The sound went a bit weird as well at one point, as I recall.
That's normal.
That's normal for AEW, but it's something
we can't have an AEW pay-per-view without some audio technical difficulties.
You're making Kevin Dunn look good, guys. Please stop it. More importantly, you're making anyone else look good with that pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to see us back to normal in terms of AEW and the quality involved at Full Gear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't be doing a WCW and tanking the product of your pay-per-views to up the product of your television show. That's what killed them in the first place.
I'll tell you what, though, out of curiosity, because I don't know this, was Cody there?
What, in terms of like production or?
Was Cody there?
You know
if
what?
Cody wasn't there, that could be telling.
Maybe. I'm not sure. Need to look that up. Like,
Yeah.
I would have thought he would be there because Brandy was there.
Yeah, but
And
it doesn't,
the Bucks
that
were
doesn't
there,
necessarily
and
mean.
if every other office,
But
vice
wasn't he
president,
doing like
officer-
filming or something as well? That was mentioned. He's doing filming for something.
He was filming something, but I wouldn't have thought he would be skipping.
I don't know.
pay-per-view
It would be
to do that.
it'd be interesting to know that if he wasn't there, that would be like, I think, slightly telling.
Factor.
Maybe.
Okay.
Because we know, I would say that out of everybody that's involved in the vice presidents, I think we know that Cody's the one that actually really gets it the most.
Well, of course,
In terms of
rogue
how it's
for
laid,
crying out loud.
laid out. Yes. So yeah. Anyway, that is it, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed the last 2 hours or so of us nattering about this pay-per-view and ranting about AEW and how they fucked up, because they fucking well fucked up.
Putting it lightly.
You fucks. He has been John Turbo Finley. I have been Kevin Eva. This has been LMKO. And if you are new to us and you're watching this on YouTube, please turn that red button grey. If you're listening to us on iTunes or Spotify, please check out the rest of the programs we've done. Very entertaining. And we'll be back. Maybe it's a duo, maybe it's a trio. We'll have to wait and see. Very soon with another pay-per-view, because we've got to fit every pay-per-view in that we were going to have. Apparently, we've got to fit them all in for the next rest of the year. But we'll be back very soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.